Leander Lions Football Coaches Show. We're here tonight at Guaco Taco here on Lakeline Boulevard, right near the Randalls. So if you are in the area, come out and join us. We want to thank Guaco Taco for allowing us to come here tonight, and the kids are filling in. We have some parents as well. I want to thank Chuck Tracy for joining me tonight on the broadcast and producing the show. Thanks, Chuck.
No problem, Mark.
We also want to thank the Leander Lions Booster Club for putting this on. We want to thank the Leander Lions Football Booster Club sponsors, the platinum sponsors, Thrive Realty, Modern Shade, PK Custom Pools, Quality Moving and Storage, and the gold sponsors, Funk.com. So with us tonight, Coach Price.
Hello.
Hey, great victory on Friday. How does it feel?
Hey, it feels great. It was a lot of fun playing that game with a big crosstown rival, and just to see the way our kids perform, it was really exciting. I just had a blast, and I know the kids did too.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. Both of us were doing the broadcast up there, and we could see the crowd. Of course, we were sitting in the booth, but we could see the Leander crowd across the field. And that's
Sure.
Usually we don't see that. We don't get to see all the cheerleaders because the crowd is blocking them. But just the emotion that we saw at the end of the game from the kids and the fans and the cheerleaders and the coaches, it was great.
Yeah, no, it was a big game for sure. With Glenn, I know Cedar Park has kind of been the rival around here for a long time, but to have Glenn right down the road, and a lot of these kids know the kids over there, I think that's developed into a pretty big rivalry. So glad to get the win on Friday.
Well, and it's awesome to open the season with a win.
Absolutely.
So how does that feel?
It feels great. I think it sets the tone for the next several weeks and gets us prepared to go into district play here in a couple of weeks. So we're excited about that as well.
Well, talk about the defense there in the second half, only giving up 3 points.
Yeah.
About that.
Coach Lopez, who's with me tonight, did a great job making some adjustments at halftime to kind of help us with their run game. They're very, very good at that slot T offense, and so we got an opportunity to practice a little bit of that in our scrimmage, but it's still hard to defend, and so Coach Lopez and the kids on defense did a great job with making some adjustments at halftime.
So let's talk about some of the highlights in your mind of that game over Glenn. Obviously, we had some big ones.
Sure.
We had some on both sides of the ball. So go through your mind some of the highlights and the keys to the game.
Yeah, we had a great performance by Franklin, our running back. I think he had 150 yards rushing, which kind of sets the tone for our offense. And Aiden Parrott did an amazing job managing the game for us.
Really did.
Yeah, and he didn't make any mistakes, which is a big key. Our offensive line, no penalties on those guys, which is big for us. We weren't penalized very much at all, only a couple. So those are all things that will help you down the road. Of course, Chancellor Moody had a big kickoff return that got us on the board first, and then the biggest highlight is really, our defensive performance in the second half was really pretty good.
And let's talk about that because, we were calling the game, and we can see Glenn on their last drive starting to move down the field, and they had a little bit of time.
There's about 6 minutes left.
Sure.
And so when they came up to the ball, actually, I think it was two juniors that I want to call out here tonight that I thought made maybe the keys to the game. Max Kreitz came up, turned the runner in, and made a nice tackle on the outside. And then either a play or two right after that, Gavin Brzezinski chasing down number 2 and making that tackle. And I thought that was huge because they were getting some room to the outside.
Sure.
And they were getting some first downs, but they stepped up and made those tackles during that series, and it kind of changed what they wanted to do on offense, and we got the ball.
Yeah. Max has done a good job all year long. I'm really proud of him. He's kind of adapted to it. He's played a little receiver. He's played some quarterback, and so he's fairly new to the defense side of the ball, so he's done a really good job. Gavin Brzezinski had one of the hardest jobs of the week because we really adjusted what he's been doing naturally at defense, and so he played a spot that was pretty unique this week and did an amazing job.
He played big.
Yes, he did.
Really did.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I was really impressed defensively in the improvement area is the secondary.
Yes.
There were times that last year the secondary, you go against a lot of teams that run the spread, sometimes you can be exposed. And while Glenn didn't throw the ball a whole lot, when they did, the secondary were in the appropriate spots.
Yeah, that unit has a lot of guys in it that have played on varsity, some of them for 3 years, and so they have a lot of experience, and they have done a really good job for us.
So what was the mood like at practice this week?
I'm proud of the first practice of the week. They came out. Monday is always a pretty difficult day because there's a lot of teaching, and there's opportunities for them not to understand, and you have to go back and correct. But they did a good job, absorbing the information. I expect our Tuesday practice to be pretty good.
And Chuck, and Coach, the bumps and bruises that you get on a Friday night, they don't hurt as much when you have a win.
No, that is true. That is true. We made it out fairly healthy, which is good for us.
Well, and that first practice of the week is a lot easier.
Yes.
Not just because, as a coach you might be tougher after a loss. I think you're probably pretty consistent.
Sure.
But it makes practice a lot easier when you're winning games.
The clouds didn't hurt either today.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and that was one thing I did notice. It was pretty humid night, and we had some guys go down. So you talked to them about hydration?
Hydration. Coach Beef, who's our strength guy, beats that dead horse over and over again. Hydration. So hopefully we get that part taken care of this week.
Well, the key to understanding all that is you've got to know that it's not just Thursday or Friday that you should be hydrating.
It's
all week long,
yep.
right? So, and it's hard. It's hard to drink as much water as you're supposed to.
Absolutely.
Just a regular, normal person who isn't expending 3,000 to 4,500 calories during a day. So
let's move. Yeah, so let's move on to Thursday. Big game this Thursday,
yes.
And not only is it a Thursday game, a little bit different. We've had some in the past,
sure,
but it's also senior night.
That is correct.
So before we get to Vista Ridge, how do you adjust to a Thursday game?
Obviously your week's cut a little bit short. A lot of the work really comes on our end as the coaching staff, just making sure that our game plan is something that's pretty simple, easy to install over the course of 2 days. Some of the things that you like to do in terms of walkthroughs, you don't necessarily get to do those things. But it's not terribly different from a Friday game. The kids know what a Thursday itinerary is going to look like. It's going to look the same. They've followed it, most of them, for a couple years now, so they're pretty comfortable in it. So it probably bothers us more than it bothers the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So what about senior night? That's special for the seniors out there. It's earlier in the year
Sure.
than later years, but I think with COVID, they're trying to get these games in early in case something happens down the road.
Sure, absolutely. That's the plan for it. Basically, we want to honor a really good senior class this year and make sure that they have that opportunity. I know last year was kind of hit or miss. We were, had to move the Hendrickson game around a couple of times, and that was our senior night. So want to get it in early this year to make sure that the seniors had a great year, a great memorable night, because they've earned it and they deserve it.
Well, that's something I always ask when it comes to senior night. And this year it's a little different because of the game being so early in the season. How do you express to these senior players that, they're nearing the end, a lot of them, of their career of putting on a helmet and shoulder pads and going out there and playing football?
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit different in that respect because it is so early this year. I think kind of when it's at the end of the year, you really feel it a little bit more if you're a senior, because you may have 1 or 2 games actually left. We still have a full season, so I know our seniors aren't thinking about that right now. We're not either, but we will certainly talk to them and express that to them as we get closer to the actual end for them. Right now, there's still a lot of football left.
Well, and you want to be able to extend the season as long as you can for a number of reasons, not only for this senior class, but to get as many practices in as you can during this season, going into the spring, and then, of course, in the future.
Yep, that is exactly right.
So let's move on. Thursday, we have Vista Ridge. Let's talk about Vista Ridge. What do you see on film, and what do you know over the past couple of years? I know they had a loss at quarterback, but they're filling in.
A big loss.
Yeah. So tell us about their offense.
Offensively, they're the scheme-wise, they're pretty much the same that they've been, the last couple of years. They're going to be pretty pass-oriented, wanting to throw the ball down the field. They've got a good running back, so they can run the ball a little bit. That's just not their preference. Defensively, their defensive front is pretty talented. They graduated a lot of guys in their secondary, which obviously for us helps us out quite a bit. So, we've got a good offensive line. I think that's going to be kind of the matchup to watch is our offensive line versus their defensive line. They did have a loss at quarterback, but the guys that they have rep there this year have been efficient and can make throws. So,
well, and that's a school, if you're a quarterback, you want to kind of go to Vista Ridge if you can, so you can fling the ball around like they do.
Yeah, they do.
Well, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier when I mentioned the spread and the secondary. And so these guys with another year of experience under their belt, you got a Jalen Jammer, now a senior.
Yeah.
You got who's at the other corner?
Moody. Yeah.
And then you got Brzezinski and who's the other safety?
Flores plays.
Andre
Bird has played some rover for us. I mean, we've got a number of guys that have played a lot of different positions and are very flexible, which helps us out quite a bit in the secondary. And so, that's for sure the most experienced group.
So this week of practice has been a lot different for the whole defense.
Yes, it has. The last couple of weeks has been a lot of trying to spill counter, and now we got to get deep and take away the fade ball.
Right, and you got to understand there's a lot of teams that run a similar offense to Vista. So this is a week that they'll have similar practices down the road.
Absolutely.
So do you have any coaches you want us to interview tonight?
Yeah, sure. I have the coordinators here with me, Coach Ryan Bailey and Daniel Lopez. They're here.
We're going to interview them both?
Sure, if you want to.
One at a time, though.
Or you can pick the tallest one, which means,
All right, well, thank you. Hey, good luck on Thursday. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you out there, Coach.
Yep.
So let's get the offensive
Ryan.
coordinator, Ryan. Yeah, let's get him on up. Coach Bailey, welcome.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
So let's go back to this past week. I know Coach Price talked about it, but let's talk about the offense. Let's talk about the keys to the game. What did you like? What do we need to work on?
Well, the number one thing we did was we didn't have mistakes. We didn't have the things that we used to have. And
that has plagued us in the past years.
Yes, it has. So it's been a really big focus for us to be very disciplined in what we're doing, knowing where to be, what to do, getting in the right spots, lining up correctly. And it showed we had 0 turnovers. We had 0 penalties. We only had 2 tackles for losses, and that was just we ran into a blitz. They got us. That happens once in a while.
Right.
If you get 2 of those, and they were 2-yard losses. A few years ago, we were
that'd
3,
be
4,
12.
5.
Sometimes 12.
Yeah. So we eliminated going backwards with penalties, with turnovers, with everything, and that's what kept us in it. We made mistakes. We did some things wrong, but nothing like what it used to be. So I thought our O-line got tough and nasty, and they were trying to floor some people, and we had some pancakes. They all got stickers for having 8 or more pancakes, and they played awesome. Now, they didn't step right all the time. They didn't do things, but the part we needed to get them to is get them physical, and they did that.
Definitely,
Yes.
especially in the run game.
They did. And Franklin's got some guys to run behind, and we've got a crew of running backs also that, we get these guys to keep blocking like that and step in the right way, it'll be even better. So.
Yeah, the 2 touchdowns that Franklin had. He had the long one,
63 yards.
coming back across and able to outrun everyone down the field. Then the one up the middle, where about the 8 or 10 yard line, looked like the sea parted, and he just ran right in and wasn't even touched. So let's talk about that play, the one close to the goal line.
Well, if you notice, the first drive we were having some success. We got down and we had one of those small tackles for losses that got us. And then the second one, they were just bringing everybody. They were blitzing and going crazy with it. So I realized then we've got to mix it up, go inside, outside. We got them to stretch the field a little bit, and we got them to back up a little bit and then widen. We started getting our linebackers to taking them side steps instead of this first. So I motioned across, and they brought in a certain guy we were looking for. They motioned across, and they went sideways, and Franklin in the line just wide open hole. I still could have scored on that one.
Well, now probably not on the long counter play. Talk
I
about
can
that.
outrun Franklin.
Talk about that counter play.
All right. It's actually a draw.
Okay.
It's actually a sprint out draw. We do a lot of sprint outs with AP, and the draw off of that is if we catch them flowing too much, we get a little trap back door with it. And we saw some things on film we really liked, and we put it in this week. And you see Coach Price smiling. It's his favorite play in the world. And he's the defensive coordinator. He's like, don't ever run that on me, but run it on everybody else. So if you get teams that flow really hard, those kind of things work. And we practiced it for one day and then a little bit the next day, and the kids went out and executed it perfectly. So,
Yeah, it looked great. It looked great from upstairs.
Well, you have those weapons in the backfield, but you also have weapons on the edge. Talk about your receivers.
We do. We've got, Wheatley got hurt, and he's, a first-team all-district player coming back, and we're going to get him back. I don't know when yet, but he is a big weapon that we're missing right now.
Definitely.
So we've got some tall guys for once that we haven't had in the past, and they're doing really well. Garza's on the left side, and we've got a rotation of guys replacing Wheatley on the right side. We've got Cotton. We got Trenton Fisk. Cotton came to us from the baseball program. And he's doing really well. He's picking up on it. He's a 6'3" guy we can lay it up to. Garza's on the other side. He's 6'2", 6'3". We got some good little ones on the inside. Our two inside guys are short and small, Salazar and Webster. Yeah. But they're both playing really well.
They got good hands, both of them.
And good speed. I know they have good speed.
They do. They're quick, and if people want to focus just on the run, then we're getting better and better at the passing game and some other things. So we're going to get a lot more plays moving forward. We didn't get as many plays last week because of that type of offense we went against, but we've got weapons all over. We're trying to get to where we can use all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talked to Parrott last week, and talked about the change and him coming in and getting all these reps, but things will start to slow down. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, as a passing game, that's what you're looking for. Things to slow down, read it, find the people, get your feet set, and make the good throws.
Yeah. The crazy thing about our passing game last week, it wasn't awesome, but he was 9 of 12.
Right.
And we were like, going back and looking, I said, what was our stats on passing? And all I talked to him about is efficiency. We're going to be really accurate and give our kids a chance to run with it. And he was 9 of 12. I was like,
well, he could have even been better. He missed a couple of early ones with that adrenaline flowing.
Yeah, he airmailed 2 of them, and one of them was a big one to Cotton that he knew as soon as he threw it, he threw it wrong.
He was wide open.
Over under kind of deal, and he let it go the wrong way. So, but he's an efficient passer, and with his speed. We got to find ways to get him open, and he'll run forever.
One of the things I was most impressed by him on Friday was his ability to manage the game despite not having a lot of experience under the center.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very limited to Wildcat situations last year, really.
It was. And he's very, very smart kid. And so the knowledge of it all, and we ask him to make all kinds of adjustments up front. He's telling the linemen different things at different times. He's controlling the direction. He controlled the game clock very well. When I told him I want to slow it down a little bit, use a little bit of clock, he was waiting. He was patient. We threw some things in that last drive. You have your checklist of things to get in. That last drive wasn't completely done yet. So we went in and put bulls in. And I told him, I said, on this last one, you just run around as long as you can and throw it as far as you can. And he listens well. And he does what he's supposed to. So he's going to be a big weapon. Really
I was impressed, and it's not. He looked like a much more experienced quarterback.
He did. Yeah. The big plays are going to come for him and the receivers.
Sure.
Losing Wheatley, we had to kind of reassess things, and that first game came really quickly after that. But the kids that are replacing the other receivers are making some good strides, and they're starting to get their timing down with everybody. So we're going to be okay there. He throws a good football. He really
I
does.
agree. And once he settled down, it was a much more accurate ball.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we worked really hard on his feet. Just settle down. Settle down. Don't move them too much. And just relax.
So Vista, as Coach mentioned, they've got a pretty good D-line. That's year in, year out there at Vista Ridge. So talk about how we're going to handle those big boys up front on Thursday.
Well, y'all know I was over there for a long time.
Right.
And I coached 3 of the 4 boys that are across there. So
they weren't quite as big then, though.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, they were?
They were. 2 in the middle as freshmen were huge.
Just huge.
Yeah. So I've known these boys for a while, and they're good up front. Their front 4 are really good. They got some new guys at linebacker, and they moved an offensive guy that was a H-back. Mm-hmm. They moved him to the secondary, and they got one secondary guy that's back that's really good. He'll come hit you. But they do some things really well. Their technique is really well. Their scheme is very good. Up front, they're really, really strong, and they're going to penetrate and try to get in our backfield every play. So,
same scheme you used to scrimmage against when you were a coach there?
Yeah.
So you're familiar with it then?
I'm familiar with it, yeah. Plus, it's the same scheme that Hendrickson runs, and it's the same scheme that Seville. That's why it's a good game for us, because how we do up front with these guys, we can do a lot of teaching off of it for the rest of the district. So what we see on Thursday is going to help us in the future. So it's going to be really good for us.
Well, that shows you what how important scheduling can be, because those non-district games, while sure you want to win every game, you suit up and buckle up, but ultimately it's those district games that you got to get ready for.
That is true. And that, Glenn came out with that different offense. We were like, you don't want to see it because we're not going to see it in district at all. But
right.
And then you look at it as a coach, you go, see how tough our kids are, because they're going to have to get in there and bang with it. And they did. Our defense did a really good job last week.
They did.
Yeah, they made a big improvement from the scrimmage to the game.
They did.
With that offense, just being used to it more than 3 days.
And, me calling the plays on offense, it allowed me just to take more chances running the ball, trying to grind it out, get first downs, because I felt like they were going to stop them. Our kids felt like they were going to stop them. We were going to control the clock. They're the ones that wanted to control it, but we did control it. So we did it way more than what they expected us to.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
controlled it the entire game.
Yeah, we were not going to let them dictate how it was going to go that night. So they weren't going to trick me into doing some crazy stuff. So
you'll probably average about 6 more possessions the rest of the year than you did in that game. But it shows the efficiency of the offense, especially in the first half, in scoring with those minimal number of possessions.
Yeah. We knew we had to strike. We had a few trick plays we were going to strike with, and everything else was going to be we're going to grind it out and get after it and set them up for those. And we had the double pass that should have been a walk-in touchdown.
I saw that get set up early in the ball game.
Yeah, Trenton came up with the catch, but he's mad at himself. But
he shouldn't be mad. He had to climb a ladder to get it.
He had to get up and get it.
If he keeps running straight and doesn't turn, he walks in for the end zone.
That might be true.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
the ball was thrown really well, and he turned his shoulders, and that's a big no-no as a receiver. But we got the big plays we wanted, and we got the control the clock the way we wanted to, and our defense played lights out. So if we keep doing those things, we keep improving by district, we're going to be a much improved team.
Definitely.
Both sides of the ball, one of the things I noticed is we never lost momentum. Even when Glenn scored, we would bounce back.
Right.
Either a kick return or, a good offensive possession, even if it didn't result in points.
And that's a credit to these kids. They're starting to believe in themselves, and hopefully they're starting to believe in us, and we're all coming together as a family and trusting each other, and they're starting to fight for each other.
Oh, yeah.
And not blame anything anymore, just going to getting it done. So it's been a fun process, and this is a good group of kids to do it with.
Well, that all rains down from the top, and it includes the whole staff. So, it's really you guys' leadership that's going to determine how hard these guys are going to work and how committed they'll be.
Yeah, and they're doing their work, and I think we're starting to come together as a family and getting it done. So
I'm pretty excited. It's nice to be 1-0. We were 1-0 a few years back, but I think it was Weiss's first ever varsity game.
Yeah.
And then since besides that, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I keep telling everybody we're undefeated. So.
Yep.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah, and it's not undefeated going into the opener like everybody says.
Right.
You're still undefeated.
You're still undefeated.
There you go.
Got to win the first one to keep going.
Well, good luck this Thursday. Thanks for coming up and joining us.
I appreciate it.
Sounds great.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Coach Lopez.
Yeah, let's get Coach Lopez up here. Thanks for joining us. Sorry for interrupting you in the middle of a taco.
And they're good tacos here, that's for sure.
No, appreciate it.
All right, you're happy to be here.
So let's flip-flop it. Let's talk about Vista first, and then we'll talk about last week in the Keys, what you like. So
Okay.
let's talk about Vista and their offense.
So-
What are you going up against?
It's, Vista's obviously a very pass-heavy team. I think right now in our breakdowns, there's something about 77 to 80% pass, which is 23 or 20% run. They have a couple formations that they're very heavy on with their pass and run sets. And today, what we focused on really installing with the defense is stressing to our guys what they're looking for, what to expect during certain formations, during certain field positions and such like that. And so I think that they have a little bit of a quarterback battle going on over there, it looks like. They have some threats. I always tell our kids, and I tell the coaches I work with on defensive staff as well, is that you'll never hear me say a team is good or bad. I mean, to try to discredit anybody because, everybody's you got to respect every opponent. Anybody,
Sure.
Anything can happen. And so, I think that, some people talk about some turnover there, but they've got their offensive coordinator's the same guy, and he's been there, and he knows the system. He knows what he wants to do. And so they're going to have that pass threat, and our goal is to bring some pressure and cover them.
Well, in a 6A school like Vista, they got plenty of athletes to choose from.
Sure.
So, and that's a thing that in the past few years, maybe decade or so, the numbers have declined in the line program, but they're starting to bounce back.
Yeah. And so that's one thing that I've heard in the past, but since, Coach Price and I have been here, I've definitely seen a good, healthy number of growth, which is always good, and I'm very excited about that.
Well, you tend to see some of the younger kids fall out of the program, and you're not seeing that now.
Much more retention at the freshman level, which is very good, because ultimately a program is only as healthy as the number of kids, not even necessarily the talent level, but the number of kids that mature all the way to their senior level.
Yep.
Well, and a lot of your depth is contingent on having those kids, as a defensive coordinator, sometimes the numbers dictate what kind of defense you're going to run.
Absolutely.
Talk about that a little bit.
So, as a defensive coordinator, one of the things that I always try to think about is what can our kids do well? And one of the things that I also believe in is really having an identity with the defense, and then having those defensive players and defensive kids identify with that ideology. And so, offense is I think gets a little luxury that defense doesn't get, because offense they can say, oh, well, we're going to run whatever we want, and they have to stop us.
Right.
And defense, and and I've been parts of staff like this where they'll say, oh, we're going to run this defense this week, or then this defense this week, and then what happens is the kids don't really get a chance to fit into this mold of what you want the defensive philosophy and scheme to be. And I think that we've had a chance to do that with those kids, with a lot of our kids, and then at the same time, we get to evaluate our kids and what skill sets they have, so that way we can choose stuff to execute within our own philosophy,
right,
versus our opponents,
and based on their talent.
Absolutely.
So when you're generally preparing, like in the spring and leading up to the opener, you probably gear a lot of your practices to stop spread offenses.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Glenn kind of threw a little bit of a hiccup in there. We mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
What did you do to prepare for Glenn?
So with Glenn, one of the things that really helped is when we played Marble Falls the week before. Now, Falls.
Did you schedule that on purpose to get that type of game in, or just fell in?
It just kind of happened,
okay.
Honestly. And so, we had some people come up to us ahead of time and be like, oh, you're playing Marble Falls. I'm guessing that's not going to help you since you won't see that offense later on. But I took that opportunity to go tell our kids, because, kids talk and they say, oh, nobody runs this anyway either. And it's actually one of the greatest things to do as a defensive coach is to see an offense like that, because really, there's less scheme involved. Like, you're not trying to out-scheme an offense like that. You're really trying to see, can you read your keys, can you line up, and can you execute, and can you tackle the ball carrier?
Can you stay home?
Exactly. And so whenever you do those things, fundamentally, it doesn't matter what scheme you run, then your defense is usually going to be pretty good.
Right.
And so the fact that we had Marble Falls before Glenn, it kind of let us as a defense work on those things and then provide a lot of teach tape for our kids to say, okay, although the formations are not the same, some of their concepts are the same. And so then this is what we need to stress to be able to execute and be effective in stopping Glenn. And here's where we can see this from Marble Falls, and then this is where we can see from our practice, and that's what we did.
Well, and one of the things that I was impressed with is the adjustments, or what appeared to be adjustments in the at that break there at half, and only giving up 3 points to a team that's loaded with athletes.
Yeah, no. So we definitely did make some adjustments. One of the things that as a defensive coordinator, I tell the kids this. I just told them today in a meeting, and said the first plays we're gonna watch for Vista Ridge is we're gonna watch their cut up of the biggest plays that offense had that they had in their last previous game in scrimmage. And I said because as an offensive coordinator, they love to go say, "Oh, where was my big play? I want to run that one again."
Right.
You know what I mean? And so in a game, it's the same thing, right? They're thinking, okay, it's halftime. They're looking at their coaches. They're saying what worked for us, and so that way we can run it again in the second half. And so that's where myself and the other defensive coaches get together and we say, okay, these are the points that were their big plays versus in the first half. What adjustments do we need to make to do that? And so, I proposed a couple ideas. We put it all together, and the kids were able to execute and just keep fighting, and they had a strong display in the second half. I'm very proud of them.
Well, let's go down. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you force a team to take so many plays in a possession, it causes or it creates more of an opportunity for them to make mistakes or you to force them into mistakes.
Sure.
And there were some big plays in the second half. Mark mentioned a couple from the secondary, but I want to mention a couple of drives there in the fourth quarter where you had a sophomore in at the nose where you already got a really good nose in Cedillo.
Yep.
You brought in Sondheim, and he got a fumble recovery and a big tackle in 2 consecutive possessions.
Yeah, sure, he sure did, and it's always great to be able to have a sophomore come in and be able to impact a game and give, like you said, a kid who's a Cedillo.
He's got a high motor.
And who does have a high motor. And, I'm sure you saw the game. There was some plays where, we had him cut the center or really, kind of attack legs at a point of an angle. And that was disrupting the handoffs in the backfield.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a very big component that for really that defensive impact in that second half. But, Cade with an awesome fumble recovery, keeping their head on a swivel. We do drills in practice where we talk about that. And, sometimes those linemen, especially when we do like fumble drills or even bad ball drills, and they're like, of course they think, oh, it's never going to happen, but it does. And, and so it's moments like that where they get to really be ecstatic. And, of course, the defense makes a huge impact in the game with something like that.
It swings momentum big time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go to the fourth quarter of this past game. And what do you tell the defense? They had probably 2 or 3 drives left, that we're looking at for Glenn. You're on the sideline. You're talking to your kids. What are you talking to them about?
Well, for me, I'm in the box up top. As a defensive coordinator, it's much easier to kind of see the offense, the full field. And so I really rely on my other defensive coaches on the field, Coach Sondheim, Coach McClain, Coach Henson, and Coach Price. Also, they all kind of talk to those guys. I relay messages to them. And so, one of the messages that I always like to do is, talk to those guys and relay any mistakes that were made kind of in the previous drive. And then I always say, okay, so based off of what I think in the previous drive, they're probably going to run this because they haven't run this back in their playbook. I have my list of their top plays. They haven't run this, so they're probably going to be reaching for this. And so I tell them that. And then, we also do a lot of talking on the sideline about, like you said, how much time is left. And so going into that offensive last drive, I'm talking to the defensive coaches, and I know I said you're get those defensive kids ready. Let them know how much time we have. Let them know how many plays it's going to be. These are the calls that we're thinking, so that way they're already in that frame of mind. It's not like let's just stand there and wait. Okay, defense, now go, and then now run this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so those coaches did a good job of getting those kids locked in, so that way when they went out there, they were in the mindset of executing to stop in that prevent situation.
Well, that's great. So, good luck. Thursday game, we'll be there. We're looking forward for another victory, but hey, it's going to be a great game, senior night, and we're looking forward to the kids out there playing a great game.
Thank you. I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to a lot of we have a lot of defensive seniors that have been with us, and I would love nothing more for them to have a great success on that senior night.
You got a particular one that we can talk to that hasn't been up here yet?
I think. Have you had a chance to talk to Andre Burke before?
Not this year.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Is he here? Is Bert here? No. Yeah, he is. There he is. All right.
All right, we'll talk to Andre.
Okay. He's been a 3-year defensive starter with us.
That's right.
Definitely. Well,
And
thank you, Coach.
Played a
Thank you
couple
very
of
much for your
different
time.
positions, too, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. I've spent a lot of time with him, so.
Probably not as much as you'd like for him to, right?
Well, thanks for coming up. Congratulations on the win.
Good.
Oh,
Got them on all wrong.
All right. Good to meet you.
All right.
so let's talk about the game.
All right.
I mean, exciting. It was
was
going
very
back and
exciting.
forth, and then Leander came out on top. So
Right.
what was the talk on the sideline during the game with the other players?
Really, we were just trying to stay energized and stay hype because we had to keep going right back on the field. So we were trying to stay in it, stay in the game and stuff like that so we could secure the win.
Yeah. I mean, we saw some, kickoff return for a touchdown. We saw, a pass from the halfback downfield. We saw some good plays on defense. We just saw a lot of good plays all the way around. And we talked about it before. We talked about some of the mistakes that were made, some of the penalties. It was a clean game.
Yeah.
How have you been working on that in practice?
Really, it's just a lot of fine tuning. We work a lot of technique. We go over and over and over until we get it right. We do tackle circuit, block destruction circuit. The coaches really get us right on all that stuff. So, we were pretty good last game, I think.
Talk a little bit about, this is your third year, and not to compare negatively to past years, but talk about this year's squad and what drives and motivates these guys to go out and just take that win like they did.
So I think this year everybody's got a different drive, a different motivation to them. And I think everybody really wants to win. Everybody really wants to work hard. So every day we come, we get after it, and we leave. Same thing, we just repeat it every day. And I think that's the different thing that separates us from past years.
It makes it a little easier when you come out of a win, though. Was practice
Right.
easy today?
I wouldn't say it was too easy. It was
Right.
easier because it wasn't as hot, but it's definitely a funner practice, I would say.
Well, it was pretty hot on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about summer preparation.
Right.
How did you prepare for your senior year?
So my family was moving, actually, so I wasn't able to be here a lot. But really, I would just work out by myself, train. I came up here a little bit, but I just tried to spend as much time with the guys as I could.
Do anything fun?
Not much, really. I
Go anywhere? Any vacations? Anything?
guess if you want to call Oklahoma a vacation.
I guess it depends on who you ask,
Right.
really.
Definitely.
So you got family there?
Yeah, I have some family there.
Which part?
My mom's side. And my
No, I
immediate
meant which
family
part
just
of
moved up here.
Oklahoma?
Oh, Tulsa.
In Tulsa?
Tulsa.
So do they watch the broadcast?
Yeah, they watch it on SHN. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's SHN.
Yep. No, good.
We'll have
Good.
to give them a shout out on Thursday.
So, what are your plans after the season's over? What are you looking to do? Where do you want to go? What are your thoughts for your future?
Honestly, I really don't know yet. I still want to play football, definitely. So I'll have to look at the options there. Just work out and prepare for the next college season in the fall. So probably get it going there.
What do you want to study?
I definitely want to study finance because my dream and if it wasn't football, my fault. If it wasn't football, I want to be a wealth management advisor.
There you go.
It's a good way to make a lot of money.
Right. So yeah, I want to start my own firm and do all of that stuff.
Oh, that's great.
cool,
That's
yeah.
great.
Well, by the time you start that, I ought to be right at retirement. So
Hey, well, congratulations. You had a great game.
Sir,
Good
thank
luck
you.
this Thursday. Good luck this season. We're
sir.
looking forward to it.
knock
right.
heads, okay?
Yes, sir.
Let's see. How
Want
about,
to get an offensive senior?
or we want to talk,
if he's here.
is Chancellor Moody here? Talk about the big play in the game.
But he's checking to make sure he doesn't have any taco in his in his mustache. Did we interrupt your meal, Chancellor?
Nice to meet you. Let's get the headset on. Let's talk. Yeah, flip the left one around a little bit. There we go. Well, nice to meet you. Glad you could join us. Think you were going to be up here tonight?
No, sir. I wasn't even thinking about it.
You didn't think about it after last game? You weren't going to be called up here?
Not really.
Well, as a senior, and if any of you junior or sophomore players keep this in mind, during podcast time, seniors are all fair game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, talk about your performance on Friday.
I didn't know I was going to have a big performance. I came out there just ready to play. Wanted to play for my team. Wanted to get the win, and that's what we did. So I'm happy.
So let's talk about defense. Let's talk about special teams. What were the keys to the game on your end?
Well, on special team, I'm not sure if we're supposed to say this in the podcast, but the plan was just block the middle and go straight up the middle, follow your blockers, and that's what we did, and it led to a score. And defensive-wise, coach just made sure we had to spill on the edge so they wouldn't get around everybody. And congrats to all the Rovers because they did that, and that's what really got us the win.
Well, let's talk about that kickoff return. What are you seeing out there?
Well, it's the first time I've caught a kick in 3 years. I guess it just went well. I caught the ball, and when I caught it, I guess everything just opened up, and I followed Ethan Ortiz and my blockers, and I saw a hole cut, and from then on, it was just I was going.
Yeah, because Chuck and I were talking, that's the first kickoff return that we could remember in a long time.
Yeah, it's been at least 5 years.
But, I mean, we saw it up there, and we could see it open up, and we could see you going through, so just hopefully you can get through, and no one will have an angle on you. And
Yes,
you got
sir.
through that, and when you broke through and you see that end zone, what are you thinking?
After I got past the kicker, I don't know what took over me to do that, but I did that. Coach got really mad at me, but yeah, I just got really happy. So
Well, the good thing is the referee didn't see it and throw
Yeah.
that yellow flag. So.
yes, sir,
And,
yes, sir,
and maybe even better, the kicker didn't take you down, right?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Because I know these guys wouldn't have let up on you on that film watching that if that kicker would have gotten you with that big green area behind and leading for the end zone.
No, sir. I made sure to look behind me. I'm not even supposed to do that, but I looked behind me if there was anyone near me, and that's when I did it. So, yeah.
Are you the fastest on the team?
Top three.
Top three? Hey, that's acceptable and a competitive answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who's faster?
Who's faster? Track wise, I'd say about AP, the quarterback, and Webby. Football speed. I don't know.
You're right there then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, it makes a difference when you got the ball in your hand, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're suddenly about a half second faster in that 40.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, but that was great calling that kickoff return. And
Oh, yeah.
it was just fun to watch the team out there. And obviously, everyone's hyped up right now, getting ready
Yes,
for
sir.
Thursday.
Yes, sir. We want to go 2-0, and that'll really get us set up right for the season. So.
Well, I want to let you guys know, some of the views were by y'all after the game, obviously, because y'all want to go back and see your performance. But we had the most views of any game that we've had since I've been doing this, and I've been doing it about 10 years. We're over 1,000 views when I looked at it on
wow.
Sunday.
That's
So
good.
that, some of that might be Vista Ridge too.
Yes,
so
sir.
keep
Yes,
that
sir.
in mind.
Yes,
So-
sir.
Hey, well, congratulations. Great job, great game, and good
Thank
luck
you so
on
much.
Thursday.
Go
Thank
get
you so
'em, man.
much.
Anybody you want us to call up here?
We'll have one more, and then we'll wrap it up. O lineman. Let's do an O lineman. Pick an O lineman. Signs. Come on, Signs. Let's talk about some of them pancakes. Hey, Phil, how you doing?
Come on in, join us.
Looks like you spent a little time in the gym this summer. Those guns are looking quite impressive.
Yes,
man.
sir.
So let's talk about Friday. Great win.
Thank you. It was really. I don't even know how to explain the win. It was kind of crazy to finally be 1-0, and be out there with my teammates and win.
Did you feel that all the hard work and all the preparation paid off that first game?
Yeah, definitely. During the summer, we were all trying our hardest to be out there and prepare for the season and actually be able to win. And right now we're trying to make it to playoffs, or we all want to make it to playoffs. So we're just hoping for the best for the rest of the season.
So let's talk about summer. What'd you do in the off season?
So I went to strength and conditioning for a little bit, and then I went up to Odessa with my mom and just worked out while I was up there. Worked out and tried to do what I could do to get better for the season.
Any vacation? Did you go anywhere or do anything special?
Actually, I went to Mexico. It
Nice.
was pretty fun over there. It's definitely different than it is here. So, you know, it was pretty fun while I was over there.
Was it a vacation or a mission? Or something?
Or it was just a vacation.
Vacation?
We went to go visit my stepdad's family and, you know, just hang out over there in Mexico. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about offensive line this last game. What were y'all talking about in the huddle? What were y'all discussing between the players and that, you know, on these drives and moving down the field?
We were just trying to get our blocks down and, you know, just like work together as a team and just try to perfect everything while we're out there with our team. And like trying to remember all our plays so we could go out there and execute and make holes for Franklin or Aiden, get good passing so Aiden could throw the ball and the receivers could catch the ball to score. And we ultimately did that better than the other team, and that got us the dub.
As a senior lineman, when you've got younger guys, you've become a leader now. Not that you didn't try to lead last year or anything, but as a senior, by default, you have to lead. How do you convince these younger guys to work like you guys worked this summer and in the preseason leading up to this first game? How do you motivate those guys?
You basically just gotta like, you know, make them like trust the system and, you know, push them and try to quiz them, make sure they know all their calls. And, you know, sometimes they are gonna mess up, so you gotta like let them know like, hey, no, that's not what you do. You do this instead. And, you know, try to just push them as hard as like push them to the best of your ability and make sure that they execute when they're out there, so we could win those games.
Well, and some of those drives were pretty lengthy that the Lions had, even some of the non-scoring drives, and that can wear on you as an offensive lineman because, you know, what average play is about 3 seconds, but that's a lot of work in that 3 to 5 seconds that you're putting in. And some of those guys have to come in and substitute, and so you got to get them ready.
Yeah, you know, some of us were kind of winded out there. I was a little winded being out there for a while. So, you know, whenever you start getting a little winded, you start getting, you know, you start messing up a lot.
Yeah, if you're not executing.
Yeah, and, you know, that's what leads to Franklin getting tackled in the backfield or things like that happening. So, you know, we definitely probably need to work a lot on our conditioning so we can get not be as tired.
I like to hear that when the offensive linemen say, yeah, we should probably work on our conditioning. Because that's something that an offensive lineman never volunteers for, generally.
So what do you want to do after football? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go?
I'm still I'm undecided. I might go to college, but if not, I'll probably go work in the oil field and live up there with my mom and be out there with her.
In Odessa area.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of hard work.
It is a lot of hard
There's
work.
money to be made there,
Yes,
but
sir.
it's a lot of hard work.
Have you done that before?
No, it's just like my stepdad works in the oil field. He told me how cool it is, and you know, I don't know, I want to try it for myself and see what, you know, if I like it, and if not, then I'll try a different route.
Right. You're young enough that you should try a few different things before you settle on something.
Yes, sir. But yeah, just go work out there or try to go into college and see what happens.
Would you be interested in playing college ball if you got some interest?
I would be interested in going. I want to be a coach one day, so, you know, it'd be kind of cool to, you know.
Yeah, you have to have a degree to do that generally.
Yeah, so I'd have to go to college. So, yes, sir.
So you going to wrestle this year?
Yes, sir.
Is that something you'd consider also in college?
Yeah, I've considered it. I don't know if I'm good enough to make it into college, but if I was.
You still got some growing to do.
Yeah. You know, looking forward to this season as well. You know, COVID kind of like messed everything up.
It sure did.
So, you know, right now we're just trying to like see what we can do and try to go to meets and all that other stuff so we can get out there and get noticed a lot more too.
Talk about how that sport has helped you in football.
It definitely helps a lot of the conditioning portion of it. You know, a lot of the running and, you know, a lot of the heat that gets built up in there, you start getting really tired and sweaty and, you know, you start getting more fit being in that room. And, you know, you kind of just start making bonds with people, with, like, other people that you didn't know. And, you know, it, like, whenever you start going to, you know, meets outside of, like, the area, you know, you start spending time with them more often and more often.
Other people you compete against in football even.
Yeah. And it's kind of, like, crazy just, like, because it's really, like, technique-wise, you don't just go out there and, like, just do whatever you want to do.
Right.
You have to have technique to actually win and be out there.
Well, it probably helped you a lot with teaching you leverage and tipping points, and it sure does help when when you make pancakes a little bit easier when you know all I got to do is push him with one arm and still go to the linebacker, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely helped a lot. I'm glad I did it my freshman year, and hoping to have a really good senior season during wrestling as well.
Well, let's go on ahead and win and get in the playoffs first before we worry about wrestling.
Worry about football first.
But I just wanted to talk about the tie-in, especially on the offensive line. I've found that offensive linemen who spend some time wrestling definitely benefit in football.
Yeah, it definitely helps a lot when you're out there, and you get a little more condition, and it helps you with a lot of things out there.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Let's take it to him on Thursday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You want to go ahead and do the sponsors thing?
So once again, we want to thank Guaco Taco. Let's give him a big hand, everybody. Lisa Ortiz, thank you very much for organizing this. We want to thank the Leander Lions Football Booster Club. We want to thank their sponsors, the Platinum sponsors, Thrive Realty, Modern Shade, PK Custom Pools, Quality Moving and Storage, and Funk.com. So game this Thursday against Vista Ridge. It'll be on SHN Sports. Tune it in, listen to us, watch the broadcast or listen. Chuck Crazy, thank you for joining.
You're welcome, Mark.
Appreciate it. I'm Mark Sickles. So thank you for another Coaches Show, and we'll see you next week.